We are finally here in Chapter 6 of Black Myth Wukong, and it is time to take on the final boss. Luckily, we here at Direct Gaming have the perfect guide for you on how to take down the Stone Monkey and the Great Sage's Broken Shell. This is a two-stage boss battle, so we are going to do this guide in the following steps. First, we are going to start with personal setup and skills I had unlocked for the fight. Then go over tips on how to avoid the boss's attacks and how to counter them. Then we'll do a full unedited fight against the Stone Monkey first. So again, check the timeline down below. Then we're going to go back and talk about tips on how to avoid the boss's attacks again, but this time it'll be for the Great Sage's Broken Shell. Then finally, a full run of that boss fight sped up a tad to show you how to use everything you have learned in real time. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, check the timestamps down below on the timeline to go exactly to where you need to go. All right, let's get started. Now, in terms of skills, armor, and other things to bring, you will have access to the final armor set in the game, which you should be using, obviously. As for spirits and transformations, feel free to bring whatever you want, but keep in mind that if you die, there is a shrine right next to the final boss fight, so you can easily change things up. If you need to, you can actually leave the area, go train some more, find new stuff, and everything should be good. In terms of my transformations, I went with the Golden Long transformation, which I'll talk about later on in the video, but I highly recommend getting this from Chapter 3 if you haven't already. I'm not saying it is absolutely required, I just simply highly recommend it. Just like the past few chapters and those particular guides, I have been highly recommending using pills and medicine to increase your attack, your defense, and such. So make sure you have as many of those stocked up as you possibly can. You won't need these until the final fight, but it's good just to have them ready to go. All right, let's dive into the Stone Monkey. Now, like I stated beforehand, this entire fight is broken down into two sections, and each of those sections are broken down into 2 rounds as well. We're going to call those an easy round and then a real fight round. Like we stated above, though, we're going to cover the Stone Monkey first, then we'll show the full fight, then we're going to go into the Great Sage, and then finally that full fight. Now, when it comes to the Stone Monkey's first round, it's a pretty standard fight. This boss will start off with doing some normal hit combos, which are actually pretty slow, but they do end in a slam attack usually, or if he jumps into the air sometimes, so it will have a small area of effect that you need to be mindful of here. Another move the boss will use includes a ground pound that he will do 3 times usually. I personally found this pretty easy to jump over, as you can see here on screen, but if you find simply dodging at the right second, by all means go ahead. Other than that, though, this is simply a good opportunity to learn how the basic moves of the boss works and actually kind of test out some of your new abilities if you haven't really been doing that already, because the moment you finally get Wukong's staff, you're basically thrown right into the final boss fight. So if you want to actually die and just have some fun and everything with some of the abilities, by all means, go ahead and do that. Or go to some other chapters. It's always fun to do that. One thing I highly recommend getting used to using, though, is the brand new heavy attack that goes up to 4 focus points, which if you land it, the final move of that smash attack is actually going to do some really good damage to the boss. Otherwise, use this time to get used to the boss's timing in terms of its slow moves, and you should be able to take this guy down no problem. All right, so that's the easy fight. Let's get into the actual real fight, which is basically a fire and ice form Stone Monkey. Now, when it comes to this particular fight, nothing's really changing in terms of how the boss generally moves. For the first 40% of the boss's health, however, though, it'll switch between using fire and ice attacks. Most of these attacks will be the same that you saw during round 1, including a ground slam attack, rock solid, a basic 3-hit combo finishing with a basic ground slam, a multi-ground slam attack finishing with a giant area of effect. Make sure to run away from this, by the way, just go to the edge of the arena if you really want to dodge this, and other moves just like you've seen beforehand. However, when you get the boss down to about 60% health, a clone of the boss will actually appear. One version of Stone Monkey will be using ice attacks, while the other one will be using fire. Luckily, though, you don't actually fight them at the exact same time. Usually you'll fight one, and then the other one will jump in to swap places. Do keep in mind, however, though, that if you are fighting, say, the Fire Monkey, the Ice Monkey sometimes can create small spots on the ground of that said element at your feet. So, since we're using the Ice Monkey as an example, that means he can technically freeze you, and then Fire Monkey's going to come in with a couple of smash attacks. So just be ready to dodge out of the way. Don't commit to a combo unless you absolutely are sure that you can finish it. One move the boss could start using here as well as at the beginning of the fight is throwing both ice and fire attacks at you in kind of a ball form. Usually I found the boss would throw about 3 attacks at you and then finish it up with a giant version of that, which luckily is pretty easy to dodge because it's actually kind of slow. But just keep in mind here, though, because sometimes you might be trying to run into the boss to attack him, and all of a sudden he's throwing fireballs at you. As you'll easily notice on the bottom of the screen, both monkeys have their own life bars. However, once you take down one of the monkeys, you're able to then focus on the second one only. They're not tied together or anything like that. If you want to, try to focus on one monkey and then take the other one down, or just do what I did, which is simply attack whatever monkey's in front of you, let him retreat, have the other one come in, and just start bashing him over the head as usual, and you should be good to go. Otherwise, there's nothing really too crazy when it comes to this particular boss fight. Again, the biggest thing that can probably whittle down your health the most is the slam attacks that will create rings of fire or ice that shoot out towards you, and that can definitely hurt you a bit. As the fight nears the end, though, the attacks can get a little faster, but it's nothing too crazy. As much as we would like to give you recommendations on what moves work best or spirits or anything like that, honestly, you should be able to just get away with using basic combos, maybe using a pill or two here, using your vessel if you want to, and of course, trying to use that 4 focus point heavy attack, but otherwise, it really isn't too difficult. The real fight's going to start after this. But first, like we promised at the beginning, here is the full Stone Monkey fight unedited, sped up a tad to show you how to use everything that you have learned in real time. Once this fight is over though, we will continue on with the Great Sage, so if you want to skip ahead, again, check the timestamps down below. Now, with the Stone Monkey defeated, it is time to take on the Great Sage, who, yes, is Wukong. Obvious. Now, for this particular fight, you're going to fight the Great Sage 2 times. Round 1, you will still have all of your endgame abilities, including Wukong's armor and staff and his staff stances, aka the big heavy attack we've been talking about. Round 2, you will actually go back to your pre-Wukong staff abilities. And yes, it can be as difficult as it might sound. However, before we get into that particular fight, let's get into round 1. Now, if you absolutely want to fight this guy normally, go ahead and do that. It's all up to you. But honestly, you're going to need all your skills, brews, and everything you can possibly think of when it comes to the second fight. So do not waste anything in terms of the first round. So you know what that means? It's time to cheese it. As you know, when you hold down the heavy attack, you can charge up to 4 focus points. When you let go, you will lunge into the air using the staff, spinning the staff a bunch, and finishing it up with a slam attack. That particular slam attack right here does a ton of damage if you pop just 1 amplification pill. As I've stated, you need to end this fast, so here's what you're going to do. If you're able to gauge the distance between you and the boss, aka not being too close but not being too far away, you can actually hit this boss every single time with a fully charged heavy attack, and he won't be able to hit you at all. If you stand too close, however, though, the boss will dodge your big finisher. If you're too far away, you simply miss. So literally keep doing what you're seeing here on screen. And back up, hold down the charge button because I can continue to move around while holding it down. Then I simply gauge how far I am away from the boss, let go, and let that final smash attack hit the boss, and look at all that extra damage it does. You should be able to use this about 4, maybe 5 times depending on how much you hit him, and boom, it's time for that second fight. And oh boy, get ready. This boss is about to humble you. As you see from the cutscene going from round 1 to round 2, the Great Sage will have access to all of your abilities. Shocker, I know, since he's literally you. So it is time to get all of your skills ready because he's going to put you to the test. The only thing you have that he does not have, though, is transformations and spirit abilities. So let's go over what moves to watch out for. Since the Great Sage here has access to your moves, this includes your recently obtained 4 focus point heavy attack, where he will go into the air and attack you from above. You have to dodge this to the side twice. Once for the spin move that you see right here, and once for the slam attack that you've probably were using during round 1. However, be careful though, because as the fight goes on, he will actually jump back up into the air again after that slam attack, use a dive kick at you, and then try to do a final staff slam attack, which can definitely hurt. So be careful and don't rush in just because you think one slam attack is finished. Now, the big key to dodging this and his other moves is going to be watching when his staff actually glows. Now, I'm not saying you can't dodge his non-glowing staff attacks or anything like that, but the glow is like a visual clue for you, the player, for any time big moves are about to happen. When the staff glows during his attacks, it's a way of showing you that this right here is what you need to dodge. Now, this does not mean, however, though, that this is going to be like the final attack of any of the combos or something like that. So you need to be ready to react at a moment's notice. Personally, the way I looked at this is that this is the game trying to show you to not simply mash the dodge button and time your dodges, because if you're able to do this every time the staff is glowing, then you can get easy counter combo attacks and finish the fight much faster. So let me show you an example here of exactly what I'm talking about. You will notice right here on screen that the boss is actually going to start doing some basic combo attacks. Staff isn't glowing or anything, but it's some normal attacks. Stay back a bit and dodge these when you can. Then as the combo continues, the staff will actually start to glow at certain parts during said combo. These actually indicate to the player a strong attack is coming. Not a finisher, but a big move nonetheless. And each one has different timing, meaning it's not something that happens right away as the combo continues. Notice the timing on the final move, for example, on the staff thrust right here. This personally threw me off a lot. Bottom line here is that the game is basically telling you to stop mashing the dodge button and learn how to avoid these attacks one by one. Personally, I would say I got about 70% used to it, but I still ended up mashing the button sometimes. Don't feel bad if you're doing this. This is an intense fight, but hopefully seeing the glowing staff can help you like it did for me, since this boss probably took me down about 15 times before I finally got things under control. To summarize this all, basically avoid any attacks that are not glowing. When you see the glow, get ready and watch the staff for the moment it comes towards you, and then get in for the counter combo. All right, enough talking about glowing staffs and everything. Let's look at some other moves that are not too bad to look out for, but can still be a little dangerous. These include the following. The boss will extend his staff to go up into the air and then actually throw clones at you, so be ready for this one. Ring of Fire, which is a move you should have, but honestly, just stay away from it, because if you try to jump in there with the fire and everything, it'll hurt you more than anything. The boss will actually use immobilization, so again, he's kind of hubbling you since we've been using it the entire fight. Be careful when using your healing, though. If you try to heal during this boss fight and the boss uses immobilization on you, this little cutscene right here is going to play. Like I said, he is basically humbling you, so get used to it. Luckily though, he doesn't take the rest of all your healing or anything like that, so if you need to, die from this boss and go upgrade your Gorge, otherwise you cannot be relying on your healing at all. Okay, I mentioned at the beginning, but let's get into your transformation. I highly recommend using the Golden Long transformation from Chapter 3. You can actually combo the boss and flinch him while also applying shock to said boss. And as you know, if you apply shock to a boss, that means it'll take more damage from attacks. Usually what I did was 2 normal attacks followed by a heavy attack. And this boss also has the Cloud Step ability, which means that if the boss is hitting you, you can actually dodge particular attacks because you'll literally turn into the cloud. It may not be dealing the most damage or anything like that, but this is the transformation I found personally to help me out the most. If you wanted to, you could potentially use the Ice Monkey or the Giant Rock if you want to, but this is the one that I personally went with. As the fight continues on and you get the boss down to about 50% health, the boss will start adding more moves into his combos like you see here on screen. There's really no secret on how to avoid these or anything like that. You simply need to get used to watching the staff for when it glows and get ready to dodge. Or at the very minimum, use your transformation like we talked about beforehand to help avoid that damage. Again though, if you're relying on your transformation to avoid big combos though, make sure you have them upgraded a little bit because otherwise it's going to run out super fast. Oh, and yes, by the way, as the boss's health continues to go down, he will actually start using his cloud and even use that with his staff in combo with that, so get ready. It can get a little crazy. Okay, we talked about most of the boss's moves and everything. I want to talk about things on what you, the player, can do to help you avoid taking too much damage and just honestly things you should be doing throughout this boss fight. All right, let's start with the most important one, and I mean the most important one. Always, and I mean always, have damage reduction pills activated. Check your symbols underneath your stamina bar, as this will help you take less damage, obviously, during some of his bigger combos. You want to know why you're potentially dying so fast at some of these attacks? It's because you're not abusing pills. They put them in the game for a reason. Have them ready to go. If you don't have enough materials or you don't have the ability to craft them, leave this boss area and go find them out in the world. The greater damage reduction pill recipe should be out in Chapter 5. I could be wrong in this. You can probably look up a guide, but regardless, get out there and make sure you have as many pills as possible because it's going to help you here regardless. I guess unless you're trying to do some kind of no item run or anything like that, which I guess good luck to you, but for everyone else, abuse pills. The other thing I want to talk about is using your 3 focus point heavy attack. You know, the one that you can actually move around and everything. Pillar stance and thrust stance force you to stay in one spot. However, the main one that we started out at the very beginning of the game allows you to move around and you can run. If you can land the 3 focus point heavy attack on this boss, it will actually flinch the boss, allowing you to get in an extra combo potentially. However, and this is a big however, this is not always a guarantee, as sometimes this can actually leave you vulnerable after landing that attack and the boss is going to counterattack you. So just be careful when trying to use this stuff. One thing to also remember is that even if you attach 4 medicines to your quick swap buttons, you can still pause the game to find other medicine to use if you need to. For example, if you need to recharge your transformation, your spirit, or like I did, I had one of the medicine brews that fully heals me. You can only hold 1 at a time, so it's kind of a last-ditch resort and basically my way of saying, okay, we're at the end of the fight now, time to get serious. Other than that though, that's basically it when it comes to this boss. This guy is going to humble you and you need to bring your best stuff. Also, your transformation for this particular fight can probably be used 3 times, especially if you use medicine to help recharge it. Again, pausing the game like I just mentioned beforehand. If you're finding some of his attacks to be too strong, I highly recommend using the Wind Tamer. This gives you a ton of damage resistance just by having it, and then also by activating it, it will give you more, especially in the tight spots. Keep up the pressure like you always would though, until you finally defeat this legend and beat the main story of Black Myth Wukong. Or at least the evil ending. Now you gotta go through New Game Plus. Now, here's a full run of the boss fight sped up a tad to show you how to take the Great Sage's broken shell down. As always, learning attacks and patterns of the boss to make it easier, it's okay, this will take you a few tries. If you enjoy the guides, then the like on the video shows us that you enjoy this type of content, and don't forget to check out our other Black Myth Wukong guides and content along with our other videos in the top right corner and pinned comment. Thanks for watching the video. I've been Talon with Direct Gaming. I hope you have a great day and week, and thank you so much for checking out all of our guides on Black Myth Wukong. And until next time, everyone, I hope to see you in the next video or our live streams. Come and chat with us as much as you want. Until next time, everyone, though, Johnny.